We spend hours curating how the world sees us, filtering photos and rehearsing introductions. This effort is driven by a primal need to avoid rejection. We do this because we are terrified of what happens when the mask shatters. For one girl, the cost of being seen was a lesson learned long before she ever touched a makeup brush. In middle school, she learned that her natural appearance carried a social penalty. She was mocked and made to feel visible for all the wrong reasons. Psychologists identify this reaction as trauma-induced self-concealment. When a person is aggressively bullied for an immutable trait, the amygdala begins to flag their natural, unprotected face as a literal threat to their survival. When your default state invites constant ridicule, your nervous system initiates a survival protocol. You build a wall. You construct a fortress between your reality and the people you believe want to tear it down. Her fortress was built from foundation, concealer, and contouring powder. She dedicated thousands of hours to mastering the geometry of light and shadow on her own face. By using these tools to manage her emotional agony, she forged a suit of armor. Society rewarded this adaptation immediately. The whispers in the hallway stopped and were replaced by the effortless privilege of conventional beauty. For the first time in years, she felt entirely safe. But solving an internal wound with an external shell creates a psychological trap. The safer she felt in public, the more she began to suffer from a crippling sense of being a fraud. This loop shows how the anxiety functions. As the external validation bar rises with every compliment she receives, the internal fear of discovery bar grows in the opposite direction. Every word of praise she hears is actually for a person who doesn't exist, which only deepens her fear of being exposed. To prevent that exposure, the routine demands more. 30 minutes of prep becomes an hour. The defense mechanism accelerates until she is trapped inside her own creation. In this cycle, the version of herself people love is the shell, while the real human hiding behind it remains entirely unseen and isolated. This managed isolation is thrown into chaos by the arrival of a genuine romantic interest. New relationships disrupt our carefully curated safety zones. For her, this person represents a threat to her aesthetic armor. Intimacy requires proximity, and proximity eventually guarantees exposure. You cannot maintain a flawless illusion during a sudden rainstorm or a late-night phone call. Her brain is still running on the data of her childhood. She holds a conviction that the moment he sees her bare face, his affection will evaporate, replaced by the disgust she experienced years ago. This matrix shows the vulnerability paradox. We crave authenticity from others because it makes us feel safe, but we refuse to offer it ourselves because it makes us feel exposed. This top right quadrant, where mutual connection actually occurs, remains empty. By guarding against a historical pain, she is actively sabotaging her only opportunity for a genuine connection in the present. Eventually, the mask slips. An unexpected storm, a long night, or a moment where the water finally washes away the fortress. The disguise drops, and her unedited self is revealed to the person she loves. She tenses her shoulders and braces for the recoil. She waits for the awkward excuse to leave, the sudden coldness, or the familiar sting of abandonment. But the rejection never comes. Instead of pulling away, he leans in. He looks at her skin and the raw reality of her face, and responds with quiet warmth. Human brains are wired to bond over shared imperfections. When we see someone's flaws, it triggers empathy rather than repulsion. We connect with what is human, not what is perfect. True intimacy is incompatible with a sterile, perfect environment. It can only be forged in the messy, unguarded reality of our flaws. This moment triggers a shift in her understanding of self-worth. She realizes the affection she had been trying to earn through perfection was available to her natural self the entire time. Her change involves keeping her cosmetics while stripping them of their role as a hiding place. On the left, those tools form an iron shield. On the right, they become an expressive palette. She continues to use makeup, but for expression rather than concealment. She wears it because she enjoys the art, not because she needs to distract people from her insecurities. The very armor she spent years building to protect herself from monsters became the barrier that kept out the one person she wanted to let in. Most of us don't spend hours on a makeup routine, but we all curate our own disguises. We filter our digital lives and adopt rigid professional personas to hide our quiet anxieties. Human relationships operate on a clear principle: you cannot be truly loved if you remain entirely unknown. Look at the safety perimeters you've built around your own life. Find the courage to let the disguise slip and risk being seen in your unprotected state. True beauty begins at the edge of vulnerability. If the story resonated with you, like the video and consider subscribing. And let me know in the comments, what mask are you trying to find the courage to take off?